Hi, I'm Laird Hamilton, and you're watching Behind the Brand with Brian Elliott.
So you're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
You got lots of different business activities. I want to talk about those.
Sure.
And what you're doing, and maybe tie it and transition from health. Talk to me about this Invisalign project, because it is directly related to oral health and oral care. And a lot of people have documented. Science has talked about how the degree of our oral health is also directly related to like heart and mind and body. Talk about why you're doing this and how you're involved.
Well, I got exposed because our teenage daughter was concerned. It's, a lot of it's their vanity, and hers actually, she didn't. It looked fine, but her whole bite was off. Yeah. So her whole bite was over, and so when she got checked, then I was there, and it was so simple to. First of all, they know right away. They look and they go, okay, well, you have a cross bite, and I could tell this by the way my flossing has been, that it was something going on. I know I have little statistics like, people that floss can live 6 or 7 or 8 years longer than people that don't, because of the bacteria in your mouth and all those things. So, and your mouth is ultimately the gateway. I mean, as you get older, if you lose your real teeth, then you have some real problems, right? So then there's some real other issues. So if you can retain the health of your teeth and keep your real ones, which means if they're straighter and you can floss easier and all those things. And again, aesthetics comes, I think for some people aesthetics is first, but the convenience and the ease of the Invisalign treatment, of just the 3D scan, and then okay, come back, you're 20 minutes or whatever, half an hour, and then you come back and and they have these Invisalign aligners that you can put in that are easy to wear, and phenomenal for what I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to be active all day long. So it's the convenience of being able to take them, put them on and take them off, or put them in and put them and take them out, and that simplicity. First of all, I wouldn't get braces. I wouldn't get braces. I'm not going to get braces. So this is something that I wouldn't have done had I not had this ability to work with these Invisalign aligners, because of the nature of the first of all, the functionality of them, and then the ease of use, and it's just, and the precision of it. So
are you a brand ambassador? Are you an investor, or what's it?
No, I'm a brand. I'm definitely a fan and a brand. Yes, I'm a brand ambassador for absolutely. My wife's done it. My daughter's done it. I'm using them. I'm about 5 months in right now, and have already felt the changes in the convenience of flossing, and all those things have been really noticeable. Like, it's tangible stuff, and. It's again one of those pieces of your health that we overlook, and we kind of go, you don't think about it, and then you're like, or you're concerned because of aesthetic. And so now actually because they have these these Invisalign aligners you get once a week, so the change is like they can do it in half the time. So now they can shift the teeth in half, or move the teeth in half, half the time, and which is, again, everything's got to be, faster now. Like, in the world we live, it's all like how quick and how convenient and all those things.
I'm curious about, how your mind works too. So from a business standpoint, I remember talking with pro skater Tony Hawk about building his brand and how he chose brand partnerships and brand deals. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, how important.
Well, first of all, I don't use products that I don't believe in, and that I don't use authentically. It just doesn't. That's one of the things that we really don't deviate on it. Fortunately, we haven't had to. So we've been in the position that we haven't had to deviate from that. But better quality of usage or whatever. But it's comes into health and wellness and function. Those are the kind of the foundations of our relationships and our our affiliations.
Yeah, I was going to frame the question maybe from the standpoint of, what advice would you give others who are considering doing brand partnerships or brand deals? I mean, there's a couple different schools of thought, right? Like one is to, stay in your lane, stay true to, your core. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing, which makes perfect sense. I think I'd probably do it the same way. And then there's the other one that says, you gotta have a diversified portfolio. Like, so can you ever see yourself getting into things that,
Well, I believe in diversified portfolio as long as it's not outside of your moral code.
yeah, so it's governed by values.
Governed by values, right? So that diversity is incredible. But when you're outside of I think that when it's about just making money, if it's just about making money, but then maybe the product itself hurts people, I might question it. I might be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's, I don't know if, is that, what kind of money is that? Like, cause there's all kinds of money. At a certain point, you have to weigh out what you believe in, what your interests are. It's like, there's certain things, cause there's ways to make, to be successful. And one way, it's at the cost of other people. And another way maybe is at the benefit for people. So I like to operate from the side of the belief that there can be a win-win, that both sides can win. And that also too, that it should be some kind of life or world enhancing product. It's either the apparel is more functional and it's more comfortable, which is something you're wearing all the time, or something that you're eating is enhancing your health. Then you have to ask yourself, what is your moral code, or what is that overriding kind of philosophy that you and for somebody it might just be like, I want to make people prettier.
You make a really good point. What I hear you saying is that these values ought to be fleshed out and kind of set in stone before you do anything else. Like, this is your first priority. It sounded like you had your act together pretty early in life. You knew sort of what you wanted to do, where you wanted to go. Your mom helped you frame it and solidify it with these values, tie it to these values. I don't know that a lot of people operate like that. I think a lot of people just sort of take off in a certain direction without a roadmap, without knowing what they're going to do when they're going to be faced with this moral dilemma, and then sometimes they make the wrong choice.
Well, you're going to be faced with it. So the sooner you have an idea of what you believe in or what's important to you, the more help it's going to be easier. It's going to be, because it's going to make. But I always say it's easy to say no when you can say no, but saying no when you can't, that's the hardest one. And so sometimes we're put in that position. We get put in positions where we're not in the position to say no, but we still kind of have to say no. But but also if you have kind of this idea of what you believe in, then it's amazing also too what will come along.
Maybe my final kind of questions to wrap this up. I want to talk about the F word, failure.
Yeah.
We've addressed fear a little bit. Let's talk about failure. Can you think of any failures that you've had, and really talk about it from the point of hindsight's 2020? Right? Like, what did you learn from it? Like, I definitely shouldn't have done that. It may have nothing to do with picking the right wave or the wrong wave that crushed you or you wiped out on, but it might be something else.
Yeah, well, I think most of the time when mistakes happen is when you're tired. That's, you can be in life, or in the land, or on life, or whenever it is. But most of the time, when you do things that you're sorry for, there's an outside force that's kind of putting you off your equilibrium. And I think that failures, that's where you learn. I've had a lot of injuries in my career, and so an injury usually is connected to a failure. Of some sort. You failed to do the right thing, you failed to be in whatever it was. There's something connected to, but that's where the growth happens. That's where that's where we learn. We learn in our failures, and if you never fail, you never learn. And the fact is, it's not the ability not to fail, but it's how you act when you do that really makes you different than everyone else. And so if you, I feel like, one of the things I have on my side is that I'm very hard to discourage. Once I'm on a track, and a belief and on a mission, I just don't let. I'm the bloodhound. I'm the relentless. Just, I mean, it's obnoxious. I think it's obnoxious to live with. At least that's what I'm told. But I mean, I think that it's at a certain point that willingness to, and I always get back on the horse. I get immediately back on the horse. I was talking about it with the other day. We were doing an interview, and Gabby, and we brought it. It was the subject was brought up, and I'll get back on the horse. The day I'm hurt, I have multiple stories of, breaking a collarbone or hole through the face or some injury, and I would go and catch a couple more waves. But that's a metaphor for life. It's like, hey, just to not be deterred, and not let that stop you from, don't let a little crash stop you from, especially when you believe in where you're going and that you're on the right track. Don't let failure stop you. I think it's too easy to be discouraged. And if you don't have experience with it, that's the hard part. When people haven't been hurt before or haven't failed, then they're in shock. There's a great story, actually. My friend's daughter was going to Stanford, and I said, well, how's it going? He goes, well, we have to go up and, spend some time with her. And I go, why? And he goes, well, she got this class. She was a new student there, and they have this class that you can't, that no one can pass, that everybody fails. That they don't, the highest grade they give is a C, but they do it on purpose because they have these kids that just have only had A's their whole life, and they've never experienced so-called failure. Right. So they make them fail, so they have to go through it, and then if they can't handle it, then they flush them out, and they don't go to school there. But I found it interesting. I found it, I go, well, if you're not used to it, and you haven't, and you see it happen in sports, you see it happen in people's business careers, you see people get, a little failure, and then it's just, if they haven't had it, if they've had it and they grew up in it and they're used, then they're just like, here we go. Yeah. But it can definitely derail you. And, I mean, I've had enough, my failures, I think that's probably why that's such a good teacher, have been consequential in that it's either I'm lost at sea, I'm at the bottom of the ocean, I think I'm going to drown, or something's broken. So mine are pretty instantaneous and quite severe at times.
Well, what's your weakness then? It seems like you've built up this tolerance, at least in the physical and maybe the mental area. Like, what are you still trying to work on? Where are you trying to get stronger?
Well, my perception of myself is that I can always be stronger, and I can always learn more. So I always try to be a student, and my willingness to try to do new things. I think I just cultivate that. That's what I'm, where I aim at. And listen, my daughters are my kryptonite. My family is my kryptonite in the sense of that. I'm vulnerable for them, and I don't have any control, like we talked about earlier. It's out of my hands, so I can't adjust them to make me okay. And I think at this point, but I think I continually fall victim to being a contrarian. That I just go against things to go against them. That's probably something I could work on, because I have a tendency to, if everybody's going down a direction, or that's great and everybody says it's great, I'm like, no, it sucks. Like I said natural reaction, like, no, that sucks. And I was like, well, no, it's great. Everybody likes it. You should try it. No, I don't want to. Like, but so that's probably, I could probably be a little more open there for sure. But, listen, I think there's, the list is too long of what I could probably, that I can work on. And I'm working on a little bit of them all the time. But, I don't think there's any end to it until, it's the end.